Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Aaron here. I'm going to be doing a deck profile on a deck that I really enjoy playing, and a big old screw you to Chaos that is dominating the meta format of GOAT format right now. That is Gravekeepers. So if you can't tell, the spy on the top here. Basically, it's a control slash aggro deck that basically is intent on controlling the opponent with cards that like all your traps here, but also can OTK out of nowhere because Spy is one hell of a card. So I'm going to get right into it. So the obligatory 3 copies of Gravekeeper Spy. My god, this card is very good. It's 2000 defense ass that can special summon any Gravekeeper from the deck. So depending on your situation, you can either get another copy of himself, or you can get things like Gravekeeper's Spear Soldier, which this card is very good under Necro Valley because it's a 200, or sorry, not 200, 2000 attack monster that can inflict piercing damage to your opponent. Very aggressive, forces your opponent to use cards because it does a lot of damage, and you can get a lot of these guys out with the Gravekeeper Spy on the board. A lot of people I've seen play 2. I like 3 of this card because standalone drawing this with Necro Valley ensures that your opponent has to get over a pain in the ass of a card, pretty much so. And then the next 2 cards are 2 copies of Gravekeeper's Guard. Basically, it's just a 1900 ass that can compulse any monster when it's flipped. And also under Necro Valley, it's 2400 defense, and Spy is 2500 defense too. I forgot to mention that. So yeah, he is a pain. Unfortunately, low attack, but under Necro Valley he becomes 1500, so not too bad. And the last 2 Gravekeeper monsters I play are 2 copies of Gravekeeper's Assailant. This one isn't as good, and you could probably cut this down to 1. I've just been going back and forth as to play either 1 or 2. But I like him at 2 because there's a lot of chaos going around. And if he battles an opponent's monster, he can change the battle position of it so it gets over around some certain monsters. So, yeah, he's just a good old beater, especially under Necro Valley. So, he's the only Gravekeeper that you have to have Necro Valley on the field to resolve his effect. So, if you go into the battle step and your opponent chains like MST, you will not get the battle position change because, of course, the field spell has to be facing for that to resolve. And he's just going to kill himself, so be careful about that. And then the next 2 monsters of the deck are 2 copies of Tsukuyomi. Basically, like, resets your spies and your guards and helps you get around, like, Monarch decks. Also, just a really, really great normal summon. A lot of people play, like, 1 of this that I see, but I like 2 because I like to see it, and it's a pretty damn good card, so it depends on the future of how I want to play this deck. I kind of want to play like a warrior variant as well, or like a warrior engine, but like I have so many warrior engines in other decks, it's kind of boring at this point to play. So I just wanted to have something a little different, so a little fun. And then the last 2 monsters are 1 Breaker. It's Breaker. He pops spell traps and Sangan. Sangan searches literally every single card in this deck except for Breaker. So, yep. Alright, so that does it for the monsters. That, I think, was 15. So, next, of course, your obligatory 3 copies of Necro Valley. This card is the heart and soul of the deck, besides Spy. Gives everything 1500, and also it negates any effects that would move monsters in the graveyard to any other position. So, this was, at the time, there was a different ruling on it, or a different, like, effect on it, but it is what it is. I don't remember what the original ruling is, but it was extremely close to what this printing says, which this is the word we get to play with. So, yep. And then terraforming to search it. Some people play 2 of this, and I think it's kind of a brick. If you're gonna play 2 of this, cut a Necro Valley because there's a lot of times where you see like multiple field spells, and you don't want to do that. So. And then triple copies of Book of Moon, one of the best utilitarian cards in the entire format. Love this card. I will always try to play multiples of this in any deck. It just helps protect stuff. It flips your spies face down, and helps you get over monsters. So, pretty darn good card. And then I play triple copies of My Body as a Shield, just because it is amazing when you're trying to push for game. Also helps defend against knock. Because knock kills this deck. If your opponent knocks your spy, you just scoop it up. You lost at that point. So yeah, very important card. You just want to open it or Judgment as much as you can to help protect knock, or not knock, a spy. 2 copies of Nobleman of Crossout. Of course, this knocking your opponent is amazing in this format as well, especially when people are playing a Chaos Turbo. So yeah, it's pretty good. It kind of sucks sometimes, of course, when you hit something that isn't a flip, but you know, it helps get over stuff. And then the Holy Trinity of GOAT format. This, there's a lot of decks that always play this, and you should too. But yeah, this is the Holy Trinity. You gotta play it. And then you play Heavy Storm and MST is the last 2 cards. This kind of conflicts with the strategy of the deck. So sometimes I want to side it out, but sometimes where I'm just like, when I really want to push for game and I have this, and I have a bunch of Gravekeepers, the Heavy Storm really comes in handy. So then I play triple copies of Rite of Spirit, because you don't play any like Call of the Haunteds or Premature Burials in here. Because this is your Call of the Haunted and Premature Burial. And it's unaffected by the effect of Necro Valley, of course, because it says this in its card text. So you just bring back any one of your Gravekeepers. So yeah, this is a really good card. Some play 2. I can see why playing 2, because this could be a brick like early game if you don't have enough materials for it. But I found a lot of the time where I would have this, and my opponent would out like my only Gravekeeper monster. This would always be nice to have on standby, so I can bring it back. And then wouldn't be a control deck without 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. This card is bonkers good in GOAT format. People should be playing this card more. I don't know why people don't play this card more. I mean, of course, you're in aggro decks where you're not a control deck where your life points are not a resource. It's fine. But this is /aggro /control, so you can afford to play this. Helps protect against knock, and also helps for pushes for your OTK. Then you play 2 copies of Compulsory Evacuation Device. Helps get rid of any problematic monsters, and it's just overall a really good card. Helps, like if your opponent tries to knock your spy, you can target your spy with Compulse and bounce it back to your hand. Now, the thing with this is that this does not help against priority. So if your opponent like tries to exile your Gravekeeper spy, it still will pop the Gravekeeper spy because of course priority is a thing. So that sucks, but yeah, this is really damn good card. 1 Mirror Force because it's Mirror Force. 1 Torrential because it's Torrential. And then last trap is 1 Ring because you kill opponent. But that is it for that. I'm gonna go through like my side / cards I would play to replace things or like tax in. There's things you can do, like you can take out a Spear Soldier and 1 copy of Spear Soldier, 1 copy of the Assailant to play like 2 copies of Mystic Tomato. I really like this card a lot in this deck, but sometimes it just kind of sucks to draw multiples of, because I've done that before. You just want to have the 1, and also you don't want to float into things like Spy. So the only thing this really floats into is Spear Soldier. So it's kind of a mixed card for me. Cyberjar. This card is amazing in this deck because it gets you a shit ton of spell and traps, and if you, depending on like what you mill for monsters, you can really like stack up some spies and get some really big damage going on board next turn. or on your turn if you flip this up on your turn. And then like 2 copies of Bottomless Trample for Chaos decks and for whatever big threats that threaten you. I'm usually mostly for Chaos decks. You can tell like I really do not want to lose to a Chaos deck with this deck. So, and then 2 copies of Dust Tornado for like burn decks, because burn decks will kill this deck really fast, because this is one of the biggest weaknesses is burn. Especially since you're playing like cards like Judgment and My Body, you go through life points pretty quick. And then Deck Devastation Virus. Now this card was around at the time, and I've tried this out against Go Control, and it really hurts them a lot. Because it destroys anything with 1500 or less, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and that just kills a ton of their like cards like Faiths, Tsukiyomis, Sangan, whatever you want to. It just kills all those like small monsters. So I saw this against like Go Control. So, or Relinquish Control, because there's people that play Relinquish Control too. So that's it for the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry for uploading sooner. Just been really busy with work and life. And I will hope to try to upload more frequently. I do have a ton of decks that I would like to profile and show to you. So, and then maybe at some point I can probably get like some of my friends. We can play like GOAT format online. So yeah, just let me know in the comments what you thought, and if there's any changes or any suggestions, let me know. Thanks.